You may have heard or read this promise. The truth about arterial cleansing. One sip opens your veins and prevents the worst. It's a powerful phrase, igniting immediate hope, especially for those over 50 increasingly concerned about heart health. The idea that a simple, quick solution, like a single sip of a special drink, can reverse years of buildup and protect our circulatory system is undoubtedly very appealing. But as evidence-based health experts, our mission here is to separate marketing promises from scientific fact. The truth is, the health of our arteries is a complex and extremely serious matter, deserving far more than magical solutions. In this video, we'll dive deep into the science behind arterial health. We'll unravel what it truly means to have clogged arteries, the process that leads to it, and most importantly, what the most recent and respected research worldwide tells us about how we can in fact protect and improve our vascular health. If you're seeking reliable science-based health information, explained clearly so you can make the best decisions for your well-being, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. I promise that by the end of these few minutes, you'll have a much deeper and more realistic understanding of what works and what is pure myth. The fundamental question isn't whether a miraculous sip exists, but rather understanding what's really happening inside our arteries and why this idea of cleaning is as dangerous as it is seductive. The first and most important truth we need to establish is that the concept of arterial cleansing, as if we could inject a liquid unclogger that dissolves fat plaques, does not exist in medical reality. Our arteries are not kitchen pipes that can be cleaned with a chemical product. They are living, complex, and dynamic tissues. The process that leads to the narrowing and hardening of arteries is called atherosclerosis. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow and silent process that can begin decades before the first symptoms appear. The plaques, known as atheromas, are not simply accumulated fat. They are a complex mixture of cholesterol, inflammatory cells, calcium, and fibrous tissue, all covered by a cap. Attempting to dissolve this complex structure with a drink would not only be ineffective, but potentially dangerous. Abrupt dissolution of a plaque could release fragments into the bloodstream, leading to a blockage in a smaller artery in the heart or brain, causing a heart attack or stroke. Exactly the worst that the promise claimed to prevent. Therefore, the idea of one sip that opens your veins is a dangerous oversimplification of a multifactorial biological problem. It ignores the chronic and inflammatory nature of atherosclerosis. We need to abandon the quick fix mentality and adopt an approach of continuous management and prevention. The true science of vascular health is not in a magic elixir, but in understanding the mechanisms that cause the problem in the first place. The real question becomes, if there's no magic sip, what does cutting-edge science actually tell us we can do to protect our arteries? To understand what truly works, we first need to understand the enemy. And one of the main culprits in the early stages of atherosclerosis is a process called chronic low-grade inflammation. Imagine the inner wall of your arteries, a delicate layer of cells called the endothelium. This layer is like a smart doorman, controlling what enters and leaves the blood vessel wall. Factors like high blood pressure, smoking, high blood sugar levels, and certain toxins can continuously injure this endothelium. In response to this constant injury, our body activates its defense system, inflammation. In normal situations, inflammation is good. It heals wounds. But when the aggressive stimulus is constant, inflammation becomes chronic. It's like having a small fire constantly burning within the walls of your arteries. This chronic inflammation makes the endothelium sticky and permeable. This is where the stage is set for the next step of the problem. The body's defense cells, like monocytes, are attracted to the site of inflammation. They cross the artery wall and transform into other cells, macrophages, whose function is to eat invaders. The problem is that, in this inflamed environment, there's another element circulating in excess that ends up being seen as an invader. Therefore, the first truly effective strategy is not to try to clean up the mess after it has accumulated, but rather to put out the fire of inflammation that allows the mess to accumulate. But inflammation is only one piece of the puzzle. It creates the perfect environment for another, more well-known villain to enter the scene and cause havoc. This villain is cholesterol, more specifically, LDL cholesterol, popularly known as bad cholesterol. However, the story is a bit more complex than just good versus bad. LDL cholesterol itself is vital for our bodies. It transports fats to cells for energy production and hormones. The real problem begins when this LDL cholesterol undergoes a process called oxidation. Think of a cut apple exposed to air. It darkens, it oxidizes. The same happens to the LDL molecule when exposed to an environment of oxidative stress and inflammation, like the one we described in the artery wall. It's oxidized LDL that is the real danger. Remember the macrophages, the cleanup cells that went to the inflamed artery wall? They don't recognize normal LDL, but they see oxidized LDL as an enemy to be eliminated. So they start eating these oxidized LDL particles uncontrollably, filling up with fat and transforming into what we call foam cells. It's these fat-filled foam cells that form the initial core of the atheroma plaque. Over time, more foam cells accumulate, the body tries to heal the area with fibrous tissue, calcium deposits, and the plaque grows, hardens, and begins to narrow the artery, reducing blood flow. It becomes clear then that the smartest strategy is not to seek a way to dissolve the already formed plaque, but rather to act on two fronts. First, reduce inflammation so that the artery wall doesn't become damaged and sticky, and second, control LDL cholesterol levels, and importantly, protect it from oxidation. And this is where evidence-based nutrition begins to show its true power. Here we enter what science truly offers as an alternative to the idea of a magic sip. It's not about a single substance, but a set of bioactive compounds present in certain foods that can combat the inflammation and oxidation that are at the root of the problem. Let's talk about polyphenols. This is a complicated name for a group of powerful antioxidants and anti-inflammatories found in plants. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrated that diets rich in polyphenols are associated with better cardiovascular health and a reduction in inflammatory markers. Where do we find them? A classic example is high-quality extra virgin olive oil. It's rich in a polyphenol called oleocanthal, which has an anti-inflammatory action similar to ibuprofen. Another example is catechins, found in abundance in green tea. Research, such as that published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition, suggests that regular consumption of green tea can help lower LDL cholesterol and blood pressure. Anthocyanins, which give the red and purple color to fruits like blueberries, acai, strawberries, and grapes, are also potent polyphenols that studies have shown to help improve the function of the endothelium, that protective layer of the arteries. So, instead of a miracle sip, think of a powerful habit. Start your day with a cup of green tea, dress your salad with extra virgin olive oil, and include a handful of berries in your snack. If this explanation is clarifying things for you, give this video a like. It helps us understand what kind of content is most useful and to get this information to more people who need it. The idea is not a cleanup, but continuous shielding against the damage that leads to plaque formation. In addition to polyphenols, there are two other crucial allies in our quest for healthy arteries, and the science behind them is robust. The first are omega-3 fatty acids, especially EPA and DHA, found in fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel, and in the form of ALA in plant sources like flaxseed and chia seeds. The American Heart Association, based on hundreds of studies, recognizes the benefits of omega-3 for cardiovascular health. Its main mechanism of action is potent anti-inflammatory activity. They compete in the body with other fats that produce inflammatory substances, helping to turn off that chronic fire in the arteries we mentioned. Furthermore, omega-3s help reduce triglyceride levels, another type of blood fat that contributes to atherosclerosis. The second ally is nitric oxide. This is a fascinating molecule that our own body produces in the endothelium. The function of nitric oxide is to be a vasodilator, meaning it relaxes the muscles of the arteries, allowing them to open up and blood to flow more easily. This helps control blood pressure and maintain a healthy endothelium. With age and due to damage, our nitric oxide production decreases. The good news is that we can increase it through diet. Foods rich in nitrates, such as beets, arugula, spinach, and other dark leafy greens, are converted into nitric oxide in our bodies. A study in the journal Hypertension showed that drinking beet juice can significantly lower blood pressure. Here, the promise of opening your veins finds a real scientific counterpart, not through a magic sip, but through consistent nutritional support for our body's natural mechanisms. Now that we understand the mechanisms and scientific components, how can we translate all of this into a practical and safe action plan? Let's forget the idea of a single sip and think about a daily protocol for arterial health, something you can implement consistently. This protocol is not a cure, but a powerful support and prevention strategy. In the morning, instead of seeking a magical solution, start with a cup of green tea. Rich in catechins, you'll already be providing your body with a dose of antioxidants to start the day. For lunch, assemble a colorful plate. Ensure a large portion of dark leafy greens, such as spinach or arugula, which are the foundation for nitric oxide production. Generously dress your salad with good quality extra virgin olive oil. Include a lean protein source, and if possible, 2 to 3 times a week, opt for fatty fish like sardines or salmon to ensure your omega-3 intake. In the afternoon, if you feel hungry, swap processed snacks for a handful of nuts and a handful of berries. Nuts provide healthy fats and L-arginine, an amino acid that also aids in nitric oxide production, while berries deliver anthocyanins. For dinner, consider including legumes like lentils or beans, rich in fiber that helps control cholesterol. And how about a beet juice a few times a week? This protocol is not a restrictive diet, but an eating pattern focused on deliberately and consistently including the foods that science points to as protective for our cardiovascular system. It's the sum of these small sips of health throughout the day that builds real and lasting defense. It is crucial, at this point in our conversation, to be absolutely honest about the strength and limitations of these strategies. Nutrition is an extraordinarily powerful tool, but it's not the only piece of the arterial health puzzle, and it's not a cure for established atherosclerosis. The studies we've cited show strong associations and plausible mechanisms, but cardiovascular health is multifactorial. Diet works in synergy with other lifestyle pillars. Regular physical activity, for example, is crucial. It not only helps control weight and blood pressure, but also improves endothelial function and increases nitric oxide production. Quitting smoking is perhaps the most important single measure someone can take for their artery health, as smoking causes direct and massive damage to the endothelium. Managing chronic stress is also vital, as stress releases hormones that promote inflammation and increase blood pressure. And, most importantly of all, this dietary and lifestyle protocol should never replace prescribed medical treatment. If you already have a diagnosis of hypertension, high cholesterol, or coronary artery disease, the medications prescribed by your doctor are essential and have saved millions of lives. The nutritional approach should be seen as a powerful complement, a way to give your body the best tools so that medications work better and to prevent disease progression. Ignoring medical advice in favor of any natural solution is extremely dangerous. True wisdom lies in integrating the best of medical science with the best of nutritional science. We've reached the end of our journey into the truth about arterial cleansing. We've seen that while the promise of one sip that opens your veins is a dangerous myth, science offers us a much more solid and effective path. The true strategy is not a one-time cleaning, but a daily and consistent defense. We've learned that the real problem is atherosclerosis, a chronic inflammatory process that damages artery walls and allows the buildup of complex plaques. We've understood that the best tools we have are strategies to combat this inflammation and the oxidation of LDL cholesterol through compounds like the polyphenols in olive oil and green tea omega-3, from fish and flaxseed, and the promotion of nitric oxide with foods like beets and leafy greens. The final message is one of empowerment. You don't need magic solutions. You need reliable knowledge. By adopting an eating pattern rich in these components, combined with an active lifestyle, free from tobacco, and with good stress management, you are, in fact, performing the most effective arterial maintenance that exists. And now, the most important warning of all, our medical disclaimer. The information contained in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. It does not constitute and should not be interpreted as medical advice. Before making any significant changes to your diet, exercise routine, or taking any supplements, it is absolutely essential that you consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare professional. Only they can assess your individual health condition and provide safe and personalized guidance. If this video was helpful to you, share it with someone you love who could also benefit from this information. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, join our community for more content that unites science and well-being. Let us know in the comments what topic you'd like us to cover next. Take care wisely, and see you next time.